Thank you, Kristen. I'm also one of the co-chairs of the Emerging Green Builders of New York. We are a committee of the USGBC, a group of students and young professionals. So we just had a pretty awesome event last week, a sustainable fashion show, and we're up to a lot of cool things. So thanks for having me.
Hi, my name is Tom Payno, and I'm the director of the Sustainability Unit for the New York City's Department of Design and Construction. In case you don't know, the DDC is the construction manager for the portfolio of municipal buildings that's valued over $6 billion, and this includes libraries, firehouses, health facilities, museums, courts, correctional buildings. Because of this broad base, we basically affect every community in the 5 boroughs. And we spend about $500 million annually on both renovations and new buildings and additions. The Sustainability Unit, which started in the late 1990s, started as a high-performance building unit. And we did a lot of pilot projects. We did projects that preceded the LEED process, but is very similar to it. Now our emphasis, like several other people at this table have mentioned, we are concentrating on energy reduction and greenhouse gas emission reduction, and in trying to keep with the Mayor's 2030 plan of a 17% reduction in those gases, a 30% reduction by the year 2017. Our real thrust in accomplishing this is Local Law 86, which many of you may have heard of, or at least the architects may have heard of it. This is basically any project that uses city funding. If it's at least $2 million, you have to follow the LEED process. There are some exceptions to that, and I can give some examples in the question period. There is a process of applying to the DDC if you are a consultant, and that process is going on right now. I strongly suggest that you go to the website. You can catch up. I believe the RFPs are due in the middle of May. I strongly urge you to look at all of that. And the last thing is, many of you may have heard, the mayor and the city council chair has introduced 4 bills which, if they become law, this will affect New York buildings more than anything else that has happened recently. Just one of the bills introduced would be similar to Local Law 11, if some of you know about the facade law, that every building in New York City will have to have an energy audit and indicate what you're going to do if the energy audit shows that you can save energy. You must comply with those changes if you will get paid back for the changes within 5 years. So before getting too technical, which I tend to do, I will pass this on.
Thank you. I want to tell you guys up here. Hi, I'm Dick Conley. I'm a vice president with the Community Preservation Corporation, which is an affordable housing lender here in New York City, mainly operating in low and moderate income neighborhoods. We got our start about 35 years ago. We are a nonprofit mortgage finance company that was set up by a consortium of banks. At the time, banks had stepped away from financing in many of the lower and moderate income neighborhoods, and we were created to fill that void. We provide financing for multifamily housing, both to construction loans to renovate that housing, and also construction financing for new construction. Over the last few years, we as well have been focused on energy efficiencies, and we've built into our scope items to enhance energy efficiencies in the moderate rehabs that we are financing, as well as in the new construction jobs. Recently, we've initiated a program where we are going to be performing energy audits on occupied properties that we finance, and beefing up the scopes with items to enhance the energy efficiencies in those properties. This is a big thing for us, and that's why I'm here tonight. I want to answer any questions you have as we go forward in the program, and look forward to it progressing. Thank you. Oh, also, I do want to mention that we are very active, or becoming active in any event, in the NYSERDA program. We've been active through the years in the weatherization program, so we're becoming familiar with those programs, and look forward to working, going forward with them. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Let me tell you a little bit about how we structured this evening. I'm going to ask a couple of really pointed questions to the panel. And as everybody came in this evening, I said, do you mind if I ask you the really hard questions? And they said, bring it on. So I'm going to ask each of our panelists a question. We're going to have everybody comment on it. We'll go around with a few questions, and then we'll open up the floor, and you can interrogate us about anything that's of interest to you in particular. Now, in my experience, I keep hearing the same questions over and over again. And I think that one reason people are here tonight, besides the free drinks, is you're here to find out the answer to the burning question, does green cost more? So, let's start with Chris. You ready? All right, does green cost more?
I think you can have green cost more, but I think if you're really smart, you can find what are the green strategies you can use that cost less, or that are subsidized, or that you can get a really short payback or return on investment. So I wouldn't try and tackle and eat the whole elephant in one bite. I would go after one thing at a time. Let me give you a specific example. I'll talk about a commercial building that's a 35-story building, and I'll also talk about a smaller 20-story or a 20-unit building, because there was a range of people as far as what they do. And I want you to put yourself in the shoes that you currently are in, as far as how would you go about making an owner of a property like that want to use you? How would you make green be more cost effective? How would you show them that green makes sense and green saves them money? Okay, so let's talk about the bigger building first. Most buildings have regularly scheduled upgrades or maintenance or things that need to be done to it. Now, one of the things that you could look at is, and how I would approach it regardless, and what I do approach is this way, is how can I reduce your ongoing operating costs? Whether you're an agent, architect, engineer, if you can start to look at it from the owner's point of view, how can you reduce their cost? How can you improve their profitability? How can you impact their balance sheet? You will have people wanting to meet with you all day long. So let's take an example of this building, this big one, 35 stories. They're looking at changing out all the lights, all the things in their common areas, back of house. So if you start talking to them about, okay, what's your current electrical usage? How much is it costing you? Making what's called a baseline study of their energy use. And then you start to look at how do you reduce that. Now in some programs, which you'll hear about later, NYSERDA has very specific benchmarks that you need to beat. Other programs, it may be beating where they are existing. Others may refer to ASHRAE 90.1. But all of them will have some kind of baseline that you'll have to beat to improve. Now if you do beat and improve that baseline, now you're eligible for rebates, or you'll be eligible for some kind of tax credits, or you'll be eligible for some other kind of programs. So if you're an architect, or you're an agent, for instance, and you're talking to one of the owners or one of the people you've got a good rapport with, and you can talk about saving them money, reducing their costs, they're going to want to know how to do that. Now that's going to be something that's either going to, one, strengthen your relationship with them, or it's going to provide other opportunities for you to take other projects to them as well. So you take a look at this 35-story building, they're going to reduce their ongoing energy costs, depending on the kind of lights that they use, and we'll find out more about